Who is the best hero for you to pick each and every single season of Warships? Guys, the chicken's here. Guys, the chicken is here, back to another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we're switching up the content a little bit, and I wanted to talk about like a general kind of thing on which heroes are better for which applications in Warships. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on the season. It's going to depend on the meta. It's going to depend on the tech tree. But I think there's some, differences and positives and negatives of each hero. Overall every single season. So we're gonna start off. With all these heroes, and I don't know, maybe we'll do like an NPC or something. And yeah. So first off, let's start out with Sgt Brick. Now, where is Brick really gonna shine when it comes to Warships? And I know we're not playing Warships right now, but just bear with me here. So Brick is really gonna dominate when there's any sort of rushing. Mainly heavy rush, right? She's really going to be dominant in heavy rush. Anything that combines heavy rush or heavies and Zookas, where you can use battle orders, or what we've also seen a lot of. Brick's actually very interesting because she has a lot of different uses. We can use battle orders for heavy rush. We can use Smoky Brick with the explosive grenade, or we can use Iron Will with squishier troops like Zookas or. It's probably the only capacity we'd use them as heavy Zookas with Iron Will. Maybe some weird attack with warriors being sprinkled in every now and then. But for the most part, Brick is typically used at the beginning of the season. And she's usually earlier on in the tech tree. Whenever she's later on, we don't usually see her being used that much. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that Iron Will because why not? Yeah, so I don't know. Brick definitely is viable, and she definitely has a lot of great uses. But not really the go-to hero that we're about to talk to in a second as we move on to everybody's favorite, the good doctor, Mr. Boommind himself, Dr. Kavon. So Dr. Kavon is definitely, I would say, probably the best hero to use in Warships, given no information about the season or anything else like that. He's just very strong. He's very good with, typically the end style metas. End up being bombardiers and heavy choppers, and Kavon is usually the best just simply for his second wind abilities. And I mean, if we have him earlier on in the season, he's usually really good then too. Whether he's doing it's typically only second wind. We don't usually see him use ice shield, unless we're warrior rushing, but those are pretty few and far between. But that just goes to show you how strong second wind is, especially in a warship style game, where just being able to revive your troops, and be able to take down the base almost guaranteed just because you now have Kavon, it really makes him one of, if not the strongest hero, just simply on that. Crystal critters are terrible. Nobody ever uses them essentially really for anything ever. Like I said, Ice Shield, if we're warrior rushing, that's pretty rare that's going to happen. And if it is, it's not really for a long while. So Kavon, usually the number one choice that everybody plans to get every single Warship season. And, that's not all the time. But definitely one of the strongest, if not the strongest. And next, let's move on to Captain Everspark. Now, Everspark, I feel like, gets overlooked and kind of overshadowed by some of the rest of the heroes. So let's talk about what Everspark is able to do. I don't know, let's load up Scorchers or something. So Everspark is really able to shine with a couple different troops, mainly rocket choppers. You'll see a lot of guys, especially really high-level leaderboard guys, sometimes they'll run Everspark with rocket choppers just because her critters are able to distract the single target stuff so well that other than that, there's not really a whole lot of areas of concern for the rocket choppers. Now, of course, we can use her with other applications as well. She's going to be reasonably decent with heavies and Zookas and grenadiers and that kind of thing. Where I think Everspark really shines is for the non-IT players, people that don't have instant training, that need to not have their troops die every single match. I think those guys can get a lot of value out of Everspark because she's going to do a pretty decent job of keeping your troops alive. Now, is that necessarily the best for winning all the time? No, but it definitely gives you a better chance of competing. So I think that's her primary use, is really with, you know, some kind of weird heavy grenadier, or, you know, she can work with heavies and Zukas too. It's just I think Brick is more ideal if you're going to go that route. But definitely, you know, a bonus if there's no other options based on the tech tree. But yeah, so Everspark is definitely a solid choice, and you know, I think she really shines with the rocket choppas. But yeah, you can use her essentially with any other kind of troop, because you know, the worst case, you're just going to have a couple extra critters on the field, and you know, there's nothing really wrong with that. In terms of other uses, universal remote. I don't know if I've ever used that or seen it being used in warships, but I don't want to say that it's totally useless. I think there was a time when we did do that. I forget what the attack style was. Something weird, and definitely, you know, not a common thing that we see. I think it's usually Critter Swarm or Explosive Charges, hardly ever. But I think some guys do use universal remote. I think that is, you know, a little bit more common. Maybe with rocket choppas too. Yeah. So if you're using Everspark, it's probably going to be Critter Swarm or the universal remote. And lastly, guys, we have everybody's favorite, Mr. Bullet. So I would say Bullet and Kavon are typically the number 1 and 2 choices, you know, depending on what you're doing. And then I would say Brick is probably the ranked 3rd, and then Everspark probably 4th, just in terms of general usage. Now, Bullet is really strong, and he's good at the beginning of the season and at the end of the season. He's great with Heavy Rush because of his taunt ability. That's going to allow him to just absorb all the damage, obviously, and keep the heavies alive, but they're not necessarily going to be as fast as with Battle Orders. But if you're using Battle Orders and they're dying, then, you know, it doesn't matter how fast they are. We see Bullet with Energy Drink all the time. Again, a lot of the times with Heavy Rush, you know, you can still use Bullet with Heavy Choppers and Bombardiers. Bullet essentially makes everything better. He makes every attack strategy better. There's not really a bad time to use him. Great with Rocket Choppas. Again, great with Heavy Chopper, Bombardier. Great with Heavy Rush. Yeah, and you can even, you know, if say for example, if you are going to use, you know, like a Rifle Grenadier startup, you can clear stuff with that, and then maybe rush it 1 or 2 engines just with Bullet and the Energy Drink or whatever. And then sometimes on the cluster bases at, you know, 70R where the base is fully dirty and that kind of thing, that's where Shock Knuckles can really come into play. So he's got a lot of different uses throughout everywhere. So you know, he's definitely right up there. But again, Kavon with the second win, so unbelievably strong. It just kind of, it's like whatever, you know, Bullet can be as good as he is for so many different applications and with so many different true metas, but second win is better like 90% of the time. So yeah, second win's also just easy to use. I mean, you can just kind of spam it. Like there's no real, you know, you can just use it throughout the attack, and you're probably going to do a lot better than if like, I think there's a bit of skill that comes in that too, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I think Bullet can be better, you know, depending on the meta and depending on how you're using him. But Kavon with second win, and you just throw them out, like you're gonna be pretty good. So you guys let me know in the comments which hero you would say. I know it's kind of an arbitrary question, but I think it's fun too. Let me know in the comments who you think the absolute best hero in Warships is, if you had to pick only one to go with each and every season. For me, if I had to just pick one from here on out, and you know, that's all we had access to or whatever, I would go Kavon second win all day, every day of the week. Yeah, and I think most of you guys probably would too. The one thing we didn't talk about is Seekers. Duh. So I mean, if we're using Seekers, then obviously we're not going to want to use Kavon because he's not going to do anything, and Seekers essentially require you to use Bullet for his taunt ability. Yeah, so that's one thing I totally fudged on. But other than that, you guys let me know in the comments what you think, what your thoughts are. interested to hear that. I'm not really a Seeker guy, so you guys can chime in if any of the... I don't think any of the other heroes really work for Seekers at all. Yeah, they're too fast for Everspark and critters, and Brick's, I don't think... Yeah, Brick's stuff doesn't work on them, so... Yeah, Seekers are kind of a weird weird troop, but yeah, so there it is, guys. Let me know what you think of that down below in the comment section. As always, thank you so much for watching. That is going to wrap it up for the video today. Make sure to leave a like, find it interesting, entertaining, or informative. Catch you next one, guys. Check it out.